Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another video. First, Happy New Year. All right, it's the beginning of the year. Let's start this one fresh. So I want to make a video series starting today about car buying. Many of you guys want to buy a car, don't know where to go, how to start, and some tips that I wish I had back in the day when I started looking into purchasing my first car that I wish people would have shared with me. I'm gonna go ahead and share with you guys today. So stay tuned and get ready for that info.
I'm OG, y'all new to the game.
All right guys, so when you're first buying a car buying is a very tedious process and nobody really explains it too well. So I'm gonna go over some basics on what you should do when you first get ready to buy a car and when you should start first buying a car. So because I'm gonna get into some financial information, some very in-depth of how to start off the process of buying a car, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready. All right, there we go, that's better. First things first, when you're looking to buy your first car, you should probably start off about 6 to 8 months before you even consider purchasing your first car. So there's a few reasons for that. First reason, when you get ready to buy a car, you need credit. Unless you have cash and you save up your cash, if you're planning on buying a car from a dealership, you will need credit. 100% you will need credit. So if you're buying cash, for those cash buyers that save up their money, hard-earned money, and they just want to go out and buy cash for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, whatever the price is, then perfect. The deal should be pretty easy. You should have whatever the amount of the car is. So if the car is $10,000 plus taxes, license, and registration fees. So generally speaking, those are about, I would say, on a $10,000 car, depending on where you live, can be anywhere between $1,000 to $2,500. So if you're saving up for a car, you want to buy cash, make sure you have at least $12,000 if you're buying a car that is $10,000. That should take care of all your fees. There's no real getting over that, getting around that. You can register the car yourself, but again, you will need that extra amount in order to completely get everything done with the taxes, the registration, and the titling fees. So for those of you who are financing, when you finance a vehicle or lease a vehicle, those are the two options you would have for a new car. When you finance a vehicle, you need credit. So if you are first-time buyer, you're not really sure how to go through the purchase process, you are going to need credit. So there's no first-time buyer program where you can go in with zero credit, zero down, and get your dream car and roll out of there happy and free and just make your car payments. That is not how car buying works. So I believe that's how it worked, but that is absolutely not how it works. So there's a few different credit brackets that you fall into. The first bracket is going to be those who don't have very good credit, right? So just starting off with credit, maybe you have one credit card, you don't really have a credit card history or anything of that nature. And the next is going to be you have some sort of credit history, right? Maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows? But you made some mistakes here and there and you kind of stumbled and the credit score is not so hot. So for those two categories, those would be falling in between the 500s and the 600s. So the average car buyer's credit score is probably in the mid to low 600s is normally on average where you're at. And you could get a car there. You could get a car with the mid to low 600s. You can get a finance deal. When you go to buy a brand new car and you're in the mid 600s, maybe low 600s, your interest rate is going to be high. It is going to be somewhere, if I had to ballpark it, between 15% all the way up to possibly even 27%. And that's with a credit score of between 500 and mid 600s. So when you go to buy a vehicle, you want to have the lowest interest rate possible. So you get a lower interest rate on a new car, and you also get a lower interest rate on a car that is affordable to you. And you also get the best deal when your credit score is high. If your credit score is somewhere between, let's say, 670 to 700, then you are considered having good credit. So in that case, instead of having that 15 to upwards to 20+%, you could qualify most likely for a interest rate maybe around I would say 5 to 10%. So that's where you want to be, 5 to 10%. So if you don't understand interest, what interest is how much you're paying to borrow that loan. When you're paying 27% interest for a vehicle, you're looking at paying around $8,000 to $8,300 worth of extra money for that vehicle for taking out that loan for an average of 5 years. So you're going to end up spending a whole lot more money. Your monthly payment is going to be around $300, $305, $310 per month for that vehicle. When you're looking at 10% interest, you're actually looking at about $2,700 extra that you're going to be paying for that vehicle, which is not too bad because you're getting that loan, you're getting a car. Your monthly payment is probably going to be in the low 200s. So it's not horribly bad, but you can do much better than that. When you're looking at doing 5%, now you're looking at paying about $1,000, $1,300 extra for that vehicle for that 5-year loan period. So much better than that 27% interest. So you're going to end up paying less on average per that full loan for that vehicle if you get a lower interest rate. So the goal is to try to get as low as possible in the interest rate. Primarily, you want to do 0 to anything to 3% is the golden point, but that takes many years of building your credit, proving yourself financially responsible in order to take that loan and pay it back. So my recommendation would be never do a loan anywhere near 27%. I wouldn't do anything that's higher than probably, unless I was really desperate and I really had no other choice, probably nothing over than 18%. So that will keep more money in your pocket. The higher the percentage, the more you're going to be paying monthly, the more you're going to be paying overall in that 5-year period for that loan. So try to keep that number as low as possible. And 27.99 is the maximum amount. That's for people that don't have the greatest credit. That's for people who are just starting off in the financial loan. And the banks that are going to give you those loans are going to be the dirty, shady, underhanded banks that are there to collect your money. They're not going to be there in your corner. They're not going to give you any kind of deal or incentive. They're not going to adjust or change those rates. They're going to collect as much money as they can from you for as long as possible. And if you do miss payments or mess up, they're going to repossess your car, and then you're going to end up with nothing, and you're still going to owe that $13,000 for that vehicle. So the next bracket I want to talk about is going to be the elite. So we had good credit, we had really good credit, and then we have the elite. We have the top tier credit. So that's anything that's gonna be I would say 740-ish, 750-ish and up. So you could be up to 800 credit score. That takes many years. This video is not for you guys. You guys already know the game. You know how to utilize credit to benefit you. And with those people, you're looking at anywhere between 2.7 to about 3-4% as far as how much your loan is going to be. The interest rate you're going to be paying is going to be extremely low. It's going to be like, those are for people who are buying cars that are 30, 40, 50 grand, and you are paying extremely low interest rate. Also, that bracket are going to be where you're going to get the 0% interest. So 0% interest is offered as an incentive to take out a car loan, and that's normally through the manufacturer, through the dealership. So if it's with Toyota, then that's going to be Toyota financing 0%. If it's with Honda, Honda 0%. If it's with BMW, it's going to be BMW 0%. And that's an incentive to use the financing with the dealership. So that is only offered on new cars. I've never seen 0% on a used car. So when you get that 0%, that means you are paying the exact price of the vehicle. And normally that goes for about 5 years. So if you do 5 years at 0% for a $30,000 car, then you're just paying for that car. By the end of the 5 years, if you pay off the car, you are paying $30,000. That's it. So some of the tricks that you can utilize, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you are planning on buying a car and you are a first-time buyer, there's two options. One, you build your own credit. Two, you get a cosigner. So with option number one, when you build your own credit, you actually have to get a credit card, some kind of loan, to prove that you are able to pay back on time and you are able to pay back the amount that you borrowed. That's what builds your credit score. The amount of time you take a loan out, the amount of time it takes you to pay it back, making consistent payments, making early payments. Now, if you are not making consistent payments, you miss a payment here and there, it's not the end of the world, but it will not help increase your credit score. Actually, it's the negative effect. It will decrease your credit score. It may not be by a lot, but it will decrease your credit score in the long run if you are not making consistent payments. Your goal is to make 100% on time, correct payments. Now, we all fall on hard times, something happens. I would recommend, if your credit card payment is $200 or if it's $50, I recommend borrowing that money. Do whatever you can to pay that amount. Worst case scenario, call the credit card company. Sometimes they will work with you and see if you can move the payment, extend it, push it back, so that way you don't incur any late fees, you don't incur any missed payments or anything like that, because that will detrimentally hurt your credit. It will undo about 6 months or maybe even more, depending on the situation, of hard work of making consistent payments. One payment is all it takes to really drop your credit score by quite a bit, and it'll take even longer to build it up, because at that point you have shown that you are not able to make consistent payments, and banks don't like that. People don't like that. If you borrowed, if somebody borrowed $100 from you and they never paid you back, you would never loan that person money again. And that's how banks look at it. If somebody borrowed $100 from you and they said, hey, I'm gonna give you $20 a week for the next few weeks, next 5 weeks, until I pay you back. And they give you that $20, and maybe they give you $25. You're gonna trust that person much more than that person who is avoiding your calls, who's not paying, who's not doing these things. So just remember that, keep that in mind when you're working with the banks. Now, some ways that you can build your credit with a credit card. I would recommend getting a main credit card, which is through any credit card company, any major credit card company, any bank company like Chase, Wells Fargo, any major bank, basically, Bank of America. Also, there are credit card companies, Capital One, Discover, Visa, American Express. You can start off there as well. When you get your first credit card, it will have a high interest rate. I promise you, it is not going to be pretty. So keep it low, keep it consistent. Your first credit card limit might be anywhere between $200 and $500. So you're not going to be working with very much. So interest rate on that amount, I would not suggest maxing it out, but interest rate on that amount is not bad. you're looking at paying $4, $5, $6 per month in interest that they're going to be collecting from you. So it's not going to be too bad, but it's a necessary evil. You have to go through that in order to build your credit, unless you have a cosigner. So what a cosigner is somebody who puts your name on their credit. So it can be a parent, it can be a brother, sister, relative, friend, anybody. Basically, they're trusting you and you're trusting them to make those consistent payments in order to build your credit. Now, if you have somebody that's very close that you trust, that already has established credit, and they're willing to take a risk and put you on that credit, then perfect. Have them do that. And then once you make consistent payments, 6 months to 8 months, your credit score will increase. You will have a track record of paying on time consistently. And that will boost your credit score and their credit score. So if you're beginning, it's going to boost it quite a bit. If you're already established, then it'll go up by a little bit, and theirs will too. So main thing is having that track record, that consistency. If you don't have a record of showing on time payments, it is very hard to go to any place and say, hey, can I borrow $10,000? So nobody's going to trust you with $10,000 if they can't trust you with $500. So remember that when you're going to finance, and also remember, keep it consistent, pay on time, and you won't have any problems. You will increase your credit, which will then allow you to purchase that car that you would like. So if you guys want more tips, let me know. Let me know in the comments, what was your first car? Let me know what was your credit situation when you first bought your car. Did you have credit? Did you use a cosigner? Did somebody help you out? Did you buy it with cash? So let me know in the comments, and I'll be back with part 2 of this. Well, I'll go into some more aspects of buying a car, because buying a new car is much different than buying a used car. And right now it's currently tax season, so that's a perfect time to start getting ready to save up some money for a down payment and get ready for that first car purchase. All right, so I'll see you guys in part 2, and you guys have a good one.